All right, so here we are while I work on my next big video, which hopefully should be next week. I decided to do something a little different. I did a poll on my channel about a week ago asking if people were interested in the kind of computer hardware that I've managed to amass over the last several years. And so everybody who answered, which is like five, said yes, they wanted to see it. So I'm doing that. It's going to be in an unscripted form, and it's just going to be kind of chill this time around. A little bit of a lower effort video, I suppose. But yeah, without further ado, I guess we'll just get right into it. Let's go. So first, I thought I would give a little bit of background about just like my history, I suppose. And what better way to start than from the very beginning? And so these first. Eventually, I would like to have these computers. Actually, I think it would be really cool to have them, if for no other reason than to just be like, yeah, it's part of my history. I don't know if it counts as PC gaming, but I've been playing games on computer for about as long as console, to be honest. And the first of those computers was actually an iMac G3. It was one of the later models with the slot loading disk drive. It has like the faster CPU or something. And it was really cool. Of course, I was like really, really little at that time, so most of the games I played on there were like edutainment games. But those games were lit. I think probably the only real games we had on that, it came preloaded with Bugdum, which was one of my favorite games like ever at that time. And also it came, I don't know if it came with a CD of it. I'm pretty sure it did, but it came with this Asteroids thing, which was sort of like this, at the time, sort of modernized version of Asteroids with like, modern graphics and all this stuff. Actually, I thought it was really cool. Unfortunately, it was just way too hard for me at the time, so I could never really figure it out, but I'm sure now it wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, the iMac G3 was pretty cool. We lived with that for a while, but that one unfortunately died, and who knows what happened to it since in the years since it died. I don't even remember. But I'm looking. First I need more space, but that's beside the point. The next computer we got after that was a Dell Inspiron 530, which I mentioned briefly in my GTA 4 video. And this had a Core 2 Duo, and it shipped with Windows Vista, which was the new Windows operating system at the time. And honestly, I don't really remember having any troubles with Windows Vista, but I guess it must have been patched at that point, because I don't remember having any issues with like drivers or anything that seemed to be prevalent with Windows Vista at the time. But that computer, I spent a lot of time with. Actually, it was like the first PC game I ever got, like real, I guess, PC game, which was Age of Empires 2. The which one was it? It was the expansion, the gold pack, I think it was called. The gold edition or something. There are so many editions of Age of Empires 2, it's unbelievable. But yeah, and I remember that game is really cool. It came on the disc too. It was not the last game I got on disc. That was actually Empire Total War. But I also remember clocking in even more time on what is it? It was the Star Wars Empire at War. So many of these RTS games. Empire at War, Gold Edition. My friend lent me his copies of those games so that we could install it on that computer and then play it on there. It was so cool. It's nice to have it on Steam now, honestly. It's a really, really cool game. I did a let's play of that, actually, playing through the Empire, a campaign, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's on there. It's on YouTube on my channel if you want to check that out, if that's something you're into. But yeah, and then that Dell Inspiron eventually randomly died too. I don't really understand what happened to that one, but yeah, those were sort of like the computers that I was gaming on for, to varying degrees before I got the computers that I will now show you. And so that's, I guess, my sort of history leading up to it. Eventually, I would like to get another one of those. A Dell Inspiron 530s seem to be pretty easy to find online. But I'm waiting for them to kind of appear on the site that I like to get these things on. And iMac G3s are pretty easy to find too, but they can be a little expensive. So I'm just holding out. Maybe there's a cheap one. If they work, that's fine. If they don't, just having them as a decoration, I guess, is pretty cool too. But first, I need more space, and that is a different problem I won't get into. But yeah, that's my history. Starting with the oldest computer in my collection, it is an NEC Lavi laptop, I believe from 2003, so it's an old boy now. And originally it shipped with Windows XP apparently, but when I got it, its disk had been completely wiped, and so it had no operating system at all. This guy, I have since installed Windows 98 SE on it, and it actually works really well. There's nothing wrong with the computer itself. It has so much, like, nowadays, obsolete I/O and whatnot. It's really cool. I eventually would like to use this to run like older Windows 9X games that have compatibility issues with modern systems, and even like DOS stuff too, natively, because I think that would be pretty cool. But I first have some things about it I need to set up. There are some issues it has. The speakers are shot, basically. Just totally shot, which is fine. But also, I do have one Windows 90, or I should say, one Windows 9X game that I've been trying to get to run on it, but it's having difficulty, and I'm not sure what. I forgot to mention, this is running an AMD Duron, which is basically a cut-down sort of budget version of a mobile budget version. A mobile version of the budget version of the Athlon CPU by AMD. And it's, I believe, if I remember correctly, it's like either an 800 or 900 megahertz CPU, which is really cool, I think. And one of the cool things about it is it has 3D now, instruction set compatibility, but it doesn't matter because nothing used it, but I thought it was just really cool. I guess it's a form of like software acceleration for 3D graphics or something, because of course this doesn't have any dedicated graphics inside it of any kind. But yeah, it's a pretty neat little machine. I have used it. It works really well. I actually typed up a script about almost 2 years ago now, for a video that I never ended up making, at least not yet. And it's a really neat little device. It's heavy though, very, very heavy. It's the smallest computer I have, but it's also the heaviest. It's got these 2 chonker fans in the back, and the battery doesn't hold a charge at all, so that's pretty funny. But all in all, yeah, it's a pretty cool machine. One day I hope to capture some nice kind of natively running gameplay off of it. So yeah, there's that. Now, if you've seen my GTA 4 video comparing the consoles to my retro PC one, or video at least, you've seen this computer already. This is my HP Pavilion something or other laptop. This guy is running, of course, the AMD A6 3400M, which is a quad-core APU based on the Llano architecture, and I recently found out that this was actually part of the first ever batch of AMD APUs ever produced. So when I said it was part of the lineage of AMD's APU family, going from this to, what's in like the Steam Deck and the AI Max Plus 395, I guess that is correct. Now, of course, this is nowhere near what those are. Of course, this is a lot older and a lot slower. It's actually a cut down version of the Phenom chips, if I remember correctly. And so that's pretty cool. Anyway, this computer has been through it all with me, at least. I've had it for almost 15 years, I think. I'm pretty sure. And it's a really cool machine. Of course, the battery holds no charge anymore. It does have serious cooling issues, mostly thanks to a fall that it suffered, causing one of the fans to not work very well or something. Let's see, what else is wrong with it? The right click is really, on the trackpad, is really damaged because someone lost their temper and decided to pound on it for no reason. And that wasn't me either. It was someone I was kind enough to lend it to who did that. Isn't that great? And also, this computer has been through, it's on its third hard drive. The first one was damaged in a fall. The second one suffered a read-write error. And when I brought it to the Microsoft store, they advised me it's better to replace it entirely. So it went from a 350 gigabyte hard drive to a 500 gigabyte hard drive to a 1 terabyte hard drive. And that's the hard drive that it's sat with for 10 years now, actually. So that's pretty cool, I think. Oh yeah, also the disk drive cover is falling off. I don't know, it's just because it's traveled so much, it's kind of just fallen out. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it still works. One of the things that I was still getting use for out of it after all these years was the fact that it had a working SD card reader. Well, not many computers ship with those anymore, at least none that I've seen. But this one did, and it still works, and it works really well. Everything I've used to transfer my camera data from my DSLR camera, like in, for example, the live action footage I used for the game collection video, that 4-hour monstrosity, I used this computer to do that. So, that's pretty cool even these days. Of course, now it doesn't even need to do that anymore, but we'll get to that later. But yeah, this has been a very useful machine, even in a very limited capacity. So it still works. It's not fast, but it works. And that's all that really matters. Next is my Lenovo, as I like to call it, the Lenovo IdeaPad something or other. I don't remember the full name, but this guy is something else. I bought this in 2016, right at the tail end of 2016, and this got me through basically like the second half of college for me. And it was really helpful in that regard, although I was never really the biggest fan of its keyboard when it came to its layout and typing on it. It just didn't feel right. But for games, it was fine, even though I didn't play many first-person games on there, or any games that really required WASD, I think, except for maybe Empire Total War. But yeah, this computer has been through quite a bit, obviously, as you can tell by the fact that it is literally ripping itself apart. It's tearing itself apart for I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I don't know what caused it. Just one day I noticed that it was doing that. I'm like, why? But I don't know. Maybe I dropped it. I have no idea. But in any event, this computer was actually, despite in being in this state for like 5 years, the last 5 years, it's actually been responsible for capturing all of the console gameplay you've seen thus far. Aside from some of the later clips of GTA 4, which I did capture off of a different device, most of the footage that you saw, even as recently as GTA 4, was captured off of this computer. This was my main capture device for the last, I want to say, 2 years or so, from consoles at least. And it's been really useful in that function, running OBS. But finally, it was starting to say, okay, enough. I mean, and in all fairness, it makes sense. It's running an i5-7200U, which is a 2-core, 4-thread or 2-thread. I think it's 4-thread CPU, and it's in the U series, which I learned is supposed to be the ultra low power. It's a 15-watt CPU, which is insane to me. But it makes sense because this is supposed to be a smooth and quiet machine after all, and its fans aren't really that quiet, to be honest. I never felt that they were quiet fans. Even when it was new, I could hear them running in the background. They made this kind of high-pitched noise that I could very, very well hear. But, you know, this, and it also has a 940 MX. This was my first computer that used a dedicated or discrete graphics card. And, you know, the 940 MX is definitely sort of bottlenecked by the CPU because of how low powered the CPU is. But, you know, this did play a lot of games, of course. I did play quite a few games on it, actually. The only game that I tried on it that didn't run well at all was actually the Resident Evil HD remake, the remake of the first game. That game ran very, very with laggy. Like the input lag was rendered the game unplayable. I remember being really excited to try that game out, and when I first booted it, you know, of course it booted in full screen and everything, but it was just not responsive. I tried going into mirrored mode, or not mirrored, sorry, windowed mode, and lowering the resolution and all that stuff, and it didn't get any better. And I think it's mostly because of the fact that I was just CPU limited, and there was just nothing I could really do to solve that problem. But everything else ran fine for the most part. I remember putting a lot of time into Honey Pop on here, and Galgun Double Piece, and I'm sure some other games as well. Which I'm not. Oh yeah, and Empire Total War, of course. It's like, and GTA 4 that ran okay on here because it's a dual core, and I guess it's like the code for GTA 4 at that time at least was optimized for a CPU like with 2 cores, so it worked well there. Yeah, and of course now this guy is pretty much unusable until I can figure out what's wrong with the case, or if I can fix it. I don't know, but whatever. It's you know, it served its purpose and it's earned its retirement, and I think it's a well-earned retirement, so I'll let it be for now. But it's been an incredibly useful computer for the last 9 years, and that's all I can really ask from a computer, especially one of this vintage, I suppose. So yeah, the Lenovo. You've finally seen it. And next is my MSI GF65 laptop. I used a different picture in my GTA video, but here's the real one. Here's my actual one. This guy is rocking an i7-9750H, 6-core, CPU, 6 cores, 12 threads, 2.6 gigahertz. I never overclocked this. I never overclocked any of my computers for that. And of course, it has 16 gigs of RAM and an RTX 2060 notebook GPU. And this was my main computer from the end of 2020 until the middle of this year, 2025, before it went completely insane and started killing my external hard drives. But alas, it is still being used as I speak to record this audio. So yeah, there is that. It does have some use still. I am really glad I could finally retire this bad boy. It's been through so much. It's transcoded, it's encoded, it's rendered, it's run so many games, so many hours of games, and rendered so many hours of footage. And it's just been, I think I may have, because of how hot this thing gets, it really shouldn't be allowed for computers like of such demanding spec to be in such a small enclosed area, because it gets so hot even when it's idling. I really don't think that's good for the components, and I think that's why it's aged as poorly as it has. I've mentioned before that, when I first got Doom Eternal and it ran on this thing, it ran really well, and it ran pretty smoothly. Maybe some little hiccups at the beginning. I think that might be shader compilation. Don't quote me on that though. But then it would run smoothly for the rest of the playthrough for the most part. But now it can't run Doom Eternal smoothly at all. It's always stuttering and always just constantly. And then it crashed, and I think it's due to thermal throttling. I think the thing cooked itself, which is now why I use it mostly just for audio recording purposes and for sometimes editing thumbnails for my channel, which is fine. I'm glad I could finally give it its own little retirement. Obviously, I mean, I could technically run older games on it still. That's true, except that the spacebar is broken. You can see it's broken into 4 pieces. This thing shipped to me with a faulty spacebar. This is like one of MSI's special mechanical keyboards, and something was wrong with the way that the spacebar was, installed or something. And so the mechanism was very loose, and over time I've had to press a little harder because it wasn't making contact with the thing until finally it just, broke. And so, yeah, there's that. It's just not really usable for video games anymore. But you know what? That's fine, because I have other devices that can play games. I have plenty of other devices that can play games now and play it better than this guy. So I'm not really worried about this anymore. It's been my companion for the last 5 years. It's built this channel. It's been through so much, and so now it can just record audio and move that audio to a flash drive, and that's all I'll ask of it. So and browse Discord too. It does do that. Oh yeah, and its trackpad is broken too. I don't even know what happened to it. I opened it up one time to clean it out, and I guess in that process somehow I must have damaged the trackpad because it's just unusable. So it needs a mouse connected to it in order for you to move the cursor. Isn't that great? That's why I say it's mostly unusable. So, bad spacebar, trackpad that doesn't work, So, yeah. But hey, it served me well, and that's all I can ask for from it. Just like the Lenovo. So, yeah, there's that, the MSI. All right, next we have something very interesting. This is a Fujitsu laptop from 2013. It is powered by an Intel Celeron 1000M, a dual-core 2-thread CPU, and apparently this guy shipped with Windows 8.1 Professional, which is really interesting. And yeah, this is a recent. Well, no, this isn't a recent acquisition. Actually, this was supposed to be like a computer I used simply for, well, writing scripts, basically, where I could just take it places and just use it for general purpose stuff. No games, nothing, just simple, very, very simple tasks. Despite being as old as it is, its battery is still good. It can still browse the web okay. Now it has Windows 10. I got it when it has I should say it had Windows 10 on it when I got it. But yeah, but the problem was when I first bought it, it was being sold as junk and it was 2,000 yen. Come to find out that it wasn't posting at all. It would just start up and then, the fans would go to max and it just wouldn't do anything. Well, it turns out that the reason for that was it didn't have RAM. So I just put in I had some spare 8 gigabytes of RAM because I meant to use that to upgrade the RAM for my Lenovo laptop until I realized that the RAM in there was soldered to the board, so it wasn't upgradable. And so I just put it in this guy and it booted normally. And it works pretty well. I mean, it's not the fastest thing in the world. It's not breaking any speed records, but it does what you ask it to in a reasonable amount of time. And that's all I could really ask for. It's a little bulky. It's got very, very limited output options, VGA only basically, which I think is pretty funny, especially for a machine that came out at the time it did. But yeah, not meant for gaming, just meant for general purpose, gobbledygook. And it has a working battery, so I can actually take it places with me. And it's proven to be a pretty reliable machine. I'm really happy with it. It's like one of my favorite devices. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing really that special. I call it incognito mode because this was obviously a school computer at one point. The scuff at the upper left-hand corner suggests that there was tape there noting maybe a serial number for a school or something, like an ID number for the computer at the school. And then it was, I don't know, sold or something, or not, I don't know, but it's mine now and it works better than I think it has any right to. But hey, I got lucky with this guy. Then the last of the laptops is this Claro gaming laptop. I actually don't remember. I think it was like I don't remember the number that came after it, but basically this guy is really, really cool. My most recent acquisition, and this is one of my primary devices now. I have, I guess, kind of two primary computers for gaming and content related stuff, and this is one of them. This is also of 2013 vintage, but it is a lot more capable than the Fujitsu. This guy is, first of all, modified, and I can't believe how cheaply I got it for. I got it for like 7,800 yen. And this came with Windows 10 installed on a 512 gigabyte SSD. Not what this shipped with. Someone modified it. And so basically I got a free SSD and a computer attached to it. That's basically what I got here. It has 8 gigs of RAM, and it is equipped with an i7-4700MQ, which is a quad-core CPU with 8 threads, and a dedicated graphics card being the GT750M, an NVIDIA GeForce GT750M. And I did not realize the bargain I got this thing for. Originally, when I got this computer, I intended for it to be used for things like playing the very light indie games that my desktop is way overqualified to run. And because my desktop is connected to an ultra-wide monitor, it makes the editing process easier for me because I don't have to adjust the aspect ratio of the footage that I capture or something, because it was displaying on an ultra-wide monitor. And because this, displays in standard 16:9, which is really nice. So I figured, it would make my life easier. Plus, this is more than capable of running those games anyway. But it can be in a, more, I don't know, I guess, it just makes more sense, I guess. Also, I learned that this thing could also run a lot of games from like the 7th and even early 8th gen console games. So a lot of the games that I have on Steam could run on this thing without much of, if any, issues, actually, which is insane to me because that's not what I expected of it. Basically, this thing can run almost anything I can throw at it, except for like Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal. Like there's an obvious cutoff at some point, but like, I thought I was buying something of a similar spec to my Lenovo. This was supposed to replace that. It's supposed to be in the same performance tier. That's what I got this for specifically. But what ended up happening was actually because of how overpowered the CPU in this thing is. The CPU can actually, push for even more demanding games than the GPU can handle. And so when you have the CPU working in tandem with the GPU, which is around the same level of performance as the 940MX, except of course it's like the Kepler architecture, which is a lot older. It can actually run games that my Lenovo couldn't, including the Resident Evil 1 HD remake, for example, or Duke Nukem Forever, which isn't a heavy game, mind you, of course. I didn't realize it at the time, but it, like, automatically, the Duke Nukem Forever ran at 1080p ultra settings, and, like, aside from one particularly demanding area, which, mind you, is also demanding on the Xbox 360, where you're in like a helicopter or like something like that flying through a canyon where you can see so many things happening. The Xbox 360 can manage like 30 FPS on lower graphics settings with screen tearing, whereas here there are stutters until you get on the ground, basically. But hey, aside from that, it runs really well. It runs more games like Left 4 Dead 2, no problem. Like, it's just a very, very impressive machine, and I'm very, very happy with what it's able to do. There's so much CPU overhead, and for what I'm going to use it for, or what I do use it for, it's perfect. I can't believe I got this for as cheap as it is, especially considering that it has an SSD and this CPU. So I can't complain about that at all. And then, of course, we have my desktop, which is a pre-built machine. I know a lot of people are going to, freak out about that, but it turns out that getting a pre-built machine is actually a little bit cheaper than getting all the components separately, at least in Japan. And so I figured, well, I might as well get it pre-built and then upgrade it over time. That would make more sense. But yeah, it's a machine by G-Tune. It is equipped with a Ryzen 7 7800X 3D, and it's paired with an RTX 5070, 32 gigs of RAM. I'm guessing it's DDR5. I'm guessing. And it has a 1 terabyte SSD. Oh yeah, and of course I have a 6 terabyte mechanical hard drive external connected to it for making videos. This thing is an absolute weapon. There is nothing I can throw at it that will ever come close. I have it paired with the same wireless mouse that I used on with my MSI, and I bought a new keyboard. I bought a new keyboard wireless keyboard for it, because I wasn't a huge fan of the other keyboard. This one feels a lot better, so I like it. And of course I have an LG ultra-wide monitor. It's nothing fancy. It does have an anti-glare screen, but it's not a high refresh rate monitor. It goes up to 75 hertz, I think, so it's nothing like huge. It's an LCD display, so it's not OLED. I just wanted an ultra-wide monitor for like multiple windows open at the same time. That extra space, having more real estate to show more of windows on both sides, makes things a little bit easier for me. And plus, games that support the ultra wide resolution are really nice. I really like it. So, I can't really complain about that at all. And it wasn't really that expensive either, actually. And this computer is just great. I don't have any problems with it. It has red LEDs for whatever that's worth. I don't know. I really like it, and it's been nothing but good for me. This plus the Claro, I think it is, laptop that I just got is like the perfect combination, along with all the consoles that I have. So it's like this couldn't be the more perfect setup, at least for me, and especially in such a small confined space that I have to live with. So yeah, G-Tune mouse. Only thing is you can't import these from Japan. They only run on 100 volts. So if you ship it to America, or if you get one and have it shipped to America, you actually need a power converter, because 110 volts will fry the machine. So I read it in the instruction manual. So just as a heads up to anybody who might think that they can get away with buying one of these and thinking it's gonna be like less expensive than buying a similar spec thing in the US. Yeah, don't do that, because you'll unless you get a power converter. But yeah, that's it. That is my family of computers that I have. What is that, 6 or 7? Some of them have seen very great use. Some of them I don't have a use case for quite yet. And some of them are currently being used. They all have their place. And it's really cool to have this sort of little Swiss Army knife toolkit of different machines, of different SKUs, of different vintages for different potential purposes. And I kind of like that. It's like, you can't really complain. You got to admit, life is good when you can have all these things at your disposal at any given time for any given task. So, yeah, I can't really complain at all. I really like how my setup has sort of evolved over time, going from an N64 and a very small, very old Samsung TV to what I have now. So yeah, Anyway, that's all I really have to say about all of this. I think it's a really cool setup. Could it be better? Yeah. I have visions of what I would do with this setup if I could have a bigger place. Thoughts I shouldn't dwell on until I can get there, but we'll get there. We'll get there, fam. Anyway, that's all I really have to say about all this. Let me know what you think about these computers. What you like, what you don't like about them. If you've have experience with them, probably not. I'm gonna be honest. But hey, what computers have you used, or do you use? Let me know. I like talking about this kind of stuff, man. You have no idea. I could go on for hours about this, like I am in this video. So feel free. I like reading those types of comments especially. So yeah, in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video, which hopefully is coming soon. And before I go, I have to remind you to always remember to keep retromaxing.